Hey everybody, I just released a Daggerheart Tier 1 adventure. It's free. This is a walkthrough video about the adventure, so let's get into it. The adventure is called Lost in Crystalrise. I'll leave the link to the adventure in the comments or in the video description. So this is a 6-part adventure. It will have maps included as well as links to an encounter builder called Fresh Cut App, which is a free software. Alright, so the basic premise of the quest is a mother in the town of Bridgespell is missing her son and Tigerlink's animal companion. Can you find George and Tabby and return them home before the blizzard arrives? So first, in part 1, you're going to introduce Brasa. She is a stern, kind of tough dwarf woman who's cooking stew, and she's worried about her son not coming back. It's twilight, it's getting cold, she's yelling to the forest. So eventually she'll address the players and she'll say to them that you look like a capable looking bunch. So she will hand them a couple handfuls of gold and she'll offer more handfuls of gold, up to 6 handfuls total, 4 upon the return of George, Tabby, and 2 up front. And she also promises much seafood chowder whenever they're in town. She also lends the sled and horse to carry the boy back home, kind of worrying that he might not be in a good condition. So the important knowledge to impart from Brasa is that George and Tabby often go out maybe a few times a week into the woods. Despite that, they never miss supper. So you also want to mention that they've befriended a ranger in the forest named Dirk Frostjaw, who lives in a cabin. He's a respected hunter and fur trapper in the community. So hint to the players that, okay, this is like a pit stop on the way. They can check in with Dirk, who may know more information. With a reward and a quest, now we're on to part 2, it's on the trail. So quick side note about the blizzard. You can narratively add flavor. Okay, the wind's getting shrill, snow's starting to pelt down, it's feeling colder as the adventure's going on. It's not a solid timeline. It's probably going to be about 4 hours. Just note that the players won't be able to take a long rest for this one shot. They might take a short rest, and if they do, they can maybe do that at Dirk's cabin. Okay, anyway, back to part 2 on the trail. So there's a trail that heads to Frost Pond, which is where Dirk lives. However, before that, there is a river. So in the one shot, there's an encounter link, so you can check what's in the scene. But basically, there is a river and a bridge. However, the bridge has collapsed due to the recent heavy snowfall. So the bridge is broken and unusable. So to get the horse and sled across, if they want to take it, they're going to have to get creative at finding a spot in the river that's safe for them to meander through. The point of this encounter is a quick warm-up, get the players to make action rolls to get across the river, and to even incorporate some glass snakes. So a couple of monsters are hiding in the river. About 1 glass snake per player. It's not supposed to be a hard combat encounter, just like a warm-up to kind of get players on their feet and a bit surprised, and also kind of show that this is a cool ice setting. I also flavor in the encounter, make sure to flavor the glass snakes as ice snakes, so if they're like shattering in ice, like ice crystals fly when they are destroyed, for example. Okay, now we move on to part 3. So about 20 minutes, half an hour later down the trail, they will meet Dirk Frostjaw. So the point of this part is to introduce a character, Dirk, and for a GM, you're going to role-playing the NPC. He's a hunter, he's cautious, he's a little introverted, maybe a little gruff at first, but he has a warm heart. So basically what Dirk's doing is he's kind of looking around with his lantern, so players will see his lantern kind of bobbing from a distance. He's not making too much noise, he's probably checking some traps, but he's also keeping an eye out for George in case he sees him. He's starting to get concerned. So yeah, he's a marksman, right? Hunter, trapper. And if players are friendly to him, he will actually accompany the players because he wants to make sure George is safe. He also does have some knowledge in the one shot I've written down that he will impart upon the players. He basically did see them today, George and the Tigerlinks, and he warned them not to go to Crystalrise ruins. Of course, he's concerned that, they ended up exploring that way anyway. So again, if players are a little tired, they might take a short rest with Dirk at his cabin, but Dirk will be quite adamant at setting out and getting things together to find George. So yeah, at this point in the adventure, we're going to get to part 4. And this point, it's starting to get quite dark out. So, and up this way, we get to part 4. It's called the Frozen Body. So the good thing to know, it's not George or Tabby. So this is when the trail gets darker, harder to follow, less people kind of go this way. However, the Frozen Body was of a forager in this section. The point of this section is more of a foreshadowing of the boss in part 5, which are wyverns. So this is part of like more of a show don't tell sort of section. If players aren't making instinct rolls to look around, have them make a reaction roll here. And if they fail, ensure that you do take a stress, because stumbling upon a body suddenly is stressful. So right away they'll know about the body. They'll notice there's slash marks on the body. Looks to be a human, middle-aged guy. And he didn't wear armor. It looked like he wore a jacket, and he has a satchel that's kind of flown out beside him, with a couple handfuls of gold, some winter berries, and forageables. Definitely encourage players to make a knowledge roll here. Getting the knowledge roll will provide them information. The important thing is, information here is the tiger lynx didn't do this. It's definitely looks like the body was thrown by something bigger, and something more aggressive, right? And this will also hint at his profession of being a forager as well. Okay, now like a few minutes after the body, about 10 minutes after, it's quite dark now. But it's part 5, and this is the creatures at Crystalrise. So once they get to Crystalrise, here's what's going to happen. The scene's quite important. I've included a map, of course. There's a tower in the middle. The tower is maybe an old shrine or temple. So basically, imagine this tower. It's crumbling. Staircase inside. George is being held inside. There's a nest. He's unconscious, but he's okay. However, there's 2 wyverns circling the area, kind of imagine like eagles, like looking and scouting for food, basically. So yeah, inside the nest are wyvernlings. They're asleep with George, and they haven't taken an interest in George yet. But if things start to get noisy, which they might in combat, these guys are going to wake up. At the base of the tower is the tiger lynx Tabby. Make sure to show it's domesticated, maybe has a collar on or something, a little name tag. But Tabby the tiger lynx has been scratching at the tower and kind of growling upwards. So you really ask what the players are going to do at this point, because what they do is important. Are they going to interact with the tiger lynx? Are they going to kind of hide and like look around? Are they going to try to be sneaky in approaching the tower? Because if they are just going to run to the tower, the wyverns in the sky will spot them. However, make sure to give the players a chance to spot the wyverns first. So again, I have a counter link here. And scaling rules in the one-shot. So depending on how many players you have, I've scaled the encounter appropriately. So the point of the wyverns and the wyvern swarms are a bit different. So the wyvern swarms will wake up when the wyverns spot the players. They will roar. And the wyvern swarm's job is to get in the players' faces. So it basically imposes disadvantage to the players at attacking the bigger wyverns, which are obviously the big threat. I really like to be strategic with my monsters, so you should be too. Make sure the wyverns are going to use their movement to their advantage, so they will go high up and do these like large deadly dives at players, and then crunch into them to mark more armor against the players. You may be asking about Dirk and the tiger lynx. Dirk will basically look after George, maybe get to George first. He may put himself in danger to do so. The tiger lynx won't do much in the combat, more so narratively than mechanically. Again, the tiger lynx is injured, so if it takes a hit or two, make sure to narratively say, okay, the tiger lynx kind of hobbles off, right, and doesn't participate. And yeah, it should be a tough combat encounter, but they should be successful after your players beat the wyverns. They'll save George, and all should be well. Then the aftermath section, you pick up George. He's cold, but he's okay. The tiger lynx is injured, but then again, okay. You take them back to town, you have soup, and you get your reward. That should be it in the adventure. Also have some follow-up prompts if you want to carry on the adventure. George might have brought back a dangerous relic, or maybe word spreads of the good deeds brought by the heroes. Again, that's it. Again, my name's Joey. I hope you enjoy the adventure and let me know how it goes for your table. Cheers, and thank you.